All right, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me this afternoon on this session of Born to Lead discussion. And let me begin with an apology for coming in slightly late, and basically it's because I had a bit of a challenge with my network. So I had to keep flipping between several services. The last 2, 3 weeks in Nigeria have been a bit crazy. All sorts of challenges here and there, from peaceful demonstrations to shooting of demonstrators or not shooting. These are still controversial issues, but then people are taking sides and based on what they know. Again, from demonstrations to lootings of warehouses. Warehouses have moved into banks. Banks are now closed in some towns, and then people are now transiting into the homes of individuals and so on and so forth. All these things are troubling and quite challenging. Now, it's for that we'll be discussing with a friend of mine, Stephen Bahago, who is online already. And the idea is to understand our roles as leaders and how this affects or should affect and influence everything that we do. So, once again, you are welcome. And like we usually do, I'll just plead that if you are here with us and you have any comments you would like to make, please just simply type them in the comment section, and we'll continue. I'll read out or post them in, and then from that point we'll continue our interactions as the session goes on. So, Uncle Steve, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you too for agreeing to be a part and parcel of this.
Oh yeah, it's a long rope. Yeah, but I'm very excited to truly just be part of your leadership conversation over the time, and thank you so much for again bringing the consciousness concerning leadership in our day-to-day life. So I'm very happy to be here.
You're welcome.
So
thank you so for that, and I suppose yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yes. Again, that we can talk more. Like you've already laid the foundation. If we can look around how to be able to different advantages and all of that.
All right. So sorry, your last line wasn't clear. Your it looked as if you covered the mic or something, but the last line wasn't clear, so I couldn't follow you.
Okay. Well, basically, I was just appreciating what you were doing, what you are doing.
All right. Thank you.
Consciousness of leadership and leadership, the practices of leadership in our culture. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. I think so. We don't delay, even though we're shortly behind time. We should have started at exactly 1 p.m. over here in Nigeria, and that's a big welcome to those who are joining internationally. I have that one who has agreed from, I think, the UK to say she would be a part and parcel of today's session. She would like to follow through and see what we're doing. So, just in case you are online already, let me say a big welcome to you. And like I said, we won't delay. We'll just simply ask Uncle Steve to fire on while we try to interact as the session goes on. So the floor is yours now, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Again, So it's basically what's going to be more like doubling down on what Shadrach has been talking over the time. He has built a very great foundation on what is leadership. And of course, with him and a host of others, would always have leadership defined as the impact, which is very because we are in a moment where we can have um, more and more use of leadership being seen with a perspective of position. That is not just Africa, but it's global. That people think of leadership positions as as the main thing, but not the influence. But of course, both academics, but also in the life of human science, tells us that leadership beyond and actually position can create a place of influence, but it's not totally a position issue. And knowing that very, very well, that what dictates the pace for culture change, what dictates the pace for productivity, and what dictates the pace for for benefits and success in human pursuit. I mean, life generally, it is about influence and the idea of just position. There are many people of positions that don't create the influence that is needed. Sorry, I have a sound. I'm not sure if it's from me or from you, but there's this kind of sound going on, like the wind blowing somewhere. Is that coming from?
So um, your sound is a bit muffled. It comes loud at some times and then dims again. So I don't know if you could check your system to be sure as to what is happening with the audio.
Oh yeah, I feel also different as well, but
Oh, really?
uh it tells me I'm okay.
Okay.
Only that I don't see if my mic stance tells me I'm fine, and but I don't see any, yeah. But I get this feedback, which I'm not sure whether it's from you or from myself here.
Okay. So if there's a feedback, is likely from your own end since I'm hosting the network.
Okay.
Yeah. But so let me mute.
Okay. Um, can you hear me now? Just thumbs up if you hear me. Oh, great. So I would talk, and then probably at any point that you can unmute, then you would mention some of these things that I'll talk about. Of course. So again, just to refer back on what I was saying, the idea of influence and leadership. Of course, you cannot undermine position in leadership. It can never be undermined. But of course, influence is really the currency of leadership. If you want to interact with people, if you want to change culture, if you want to influence lifestyle, benefits, and a lot of those are all in the idea of influence. People can people can tolerate position, but there's just a lot about influence that is uncontestable, that you can even oppose a person, but literally be working with their influence. And so that is the reason why we carved out the idea of coming up of sharing alongside the idea of how we can play our roles in places that we are in. So, Shadrach, if you could hear me, if it is a possibility, I like to share my screen, but if it is not, I will just continue. So, again, the lunchtime talk, it's just about how we can use our timing, we can use our influences in our place of work to be able to share and influence people that we are working with in areas that we're working. So be you a corporate person, a white collar job, or whoever that you are, all of us have some degrees of influence that we can make from that very from what we are doing. So again, Shirag, if you cannot, I will just continue from where I have. I can start from my topic here. So I started on my slide.
Okay.
Are you going
Sorry,
to let me?
Steve.
Yes.
Okay, so from the software, you see a place where you can share your screen.
Okay.
Just at the
Yeah.
bottom, you see where
Mhm.
you can share your screen. So feel free to use that to share the screen. Yeah.
Okay. Um. Oh, great. So let's see if we can get that working here. Uh, I'm not sure I'm able to get there. Anyways, uh, it wouldn't let me in. Okay, you know what? We're just going to continue. Oh, I gotcha. It's right in here. So let's see how that works. Well, it told me that there's some kind of thing between Google and my keynote stuff. So I'll just continue. All right, no problems. So
All right. So perhaps you just proceed.
yes, that's just what I'm going to do.
You
So
just
I said
proceed, and we'll
something.
try to work that out.
Yep. So I said something here. Fulfillment comes in what you give, not just what you get. Under that, it's an idea that in leadership, or rather in your place of work, whether as a leader, whether as a colleague in the place of work, wherever space that you find yourself, position is actually just one aspect of it. But literally, you are in a place where you are expected to give. So if you would have been a CEO, if you would have been if you would have been a CEO or even a security guard in a firm, it is actually just an idea of your space, the space by which you is expected that you dispense your gifting, your abilities, and discharge your responsibilities. So fulfillment would come not by what you are covetous of or desiring to be. Fulfillment now, oh great. So fulfillment would literally just come from the place where you have your giftings, your abilities, your responsibility that you are giving out. What that does, that it makes you fulfilled because of miserable humans. I've met many people in the space of in their space of work that don't literally like their places of work. Not that by the organization setting, it is not their fitting. It is literally what they have always hoped to work in. But because they are given either less or they are given not even what it's being required, and they are being even remunerated for, but because there is no any place that is demanding from them their giftings and their abilities, it makes them feel redundant. And because of that, they either change a place of work or they don't want to be where they are. So it is always good that at the first instance that we understand that fulfillment comes from what we give, not just what we get. Now, that is the conversation of a workspace. If you meet people in the place of a workspace, most times the back and forth conversation is this place I belong? Is it the place I belong? Or am I doing what I'm supposed to do? How is the relationship here? Most times, and in the very great statistics, most times people don't leave jobs because they are not paid well. People leave jobs because they are not giving a lot of who they are in those places of work. By that, it means the role we play in our places of work is so key that it can determine where you learn or where you are going to be in the next time. Now, of course, you could have some extreme cases of laziness, of uncoachable, unteachable lifestyle, where people like to maintain areas where it's all about food and comfort and security. Those people are literally a different category of what I'm talking about here, which you may probably get a little bit of their percentage in some places of work. So to really start with, it's that your fulfillment, it's more about what you give out, not just about what you get. So that takes us next to the idea of our next point, our next point, which literally says that you take in charge of your workspace. And I'm going to talk about that in two forms. Your workspace has to do with you, the people you work with, and the organization that you work together with. Now, let me be a little bit, it may sound philosophical, but it's not. There is no workplace that owns you. There is no workplace that owns you. In fact, you may look at it to say you own a workplace. You might not be the CEO of those places, but you are literally the owner of those places. And the simple definition on how to be able to know that is to know that there is a space that it is your own jurisdiction. It is your place of influence. It is your place where you could call your own. Now, like literally, what organizations do and places of work and businesses do, it's that the organization is so big that they have decided to carve out and share responsibility to people. So in those responsibility, they carved out job description from there. I will talk a little bit about job description, but they carve out all of those and share the responsibility. Now, there is something about those that if you are able to understand very well that your part in an organization, it's part of ownership, not just that you are given a job. That literally set a pace for influence. So I remember when I used to work, I worked with some other people that I remember time that in our workspace, we had people that are trying to just lobby. They don't do things right till the boss is there, and then they get to do things to show the boss. And I remember one time I kind of stood up and said, the day I discovered that what I'm doing is to place you, sir, I'll stop the job. And he looked at me, the wife quiver like on the seat. And I said, seriously, the day I discovered that I'm going to do something to please you, not because of the standard of principles and values that both this organization and myself come to agree with, then I'm not going to be there. And later on, I was called a little bit some few names, but I didn't literally back down for that. I really back up for that. And that is the point. Everywhere you work, whether it's in the government office or not, I want you to know that that is your space of influence and ownership of that organization. That sets a tune completely. It changes the way you would come to work. It changes the way you perceive people from the work because you own something. And that is literally what could set you apart from that. I'll stop here and then I will allow Uncle Shadrach, if you can put in anything or you have any question to move around that before we go to the next slide.
So, thank you so much, Uncle Steve. I am thrilled by some of the things that you've mentioned. Again, you see a quote by Steve Bahago on the screen. And these are some of the things that are catchy to me. First, you've just mentioned that there is no workplace that owns you. You actually should have ownership of the workplace, and that everywhere you work is your place of influence. I'm thrilled by that. Now, why am I thrilled by that? Again, I'm using the Nigerian scenario. It would seem that a number of people are probably just satisfied waking up in the morning and going to a workplace for the kind of salaries that they will get, not necessarily for the satisfaction that comes with that workplace. They either also work please others, just like you mentioned, and then their focus isn't on building the organization or the place of work, but on building individuals. Now, in the situation where, say, in our country, where the workplace is narrow, finding jobs can be very, very difficult. Should I then concentrate on looking for jobs or looking for areas where first I can be satisfied and secondly I can churn out my influence to the organization? What do you think should be my priority? Okay, it would seem Steve has vanished, but I'm sure he would come back online. Now, what I was trying to find out from him, okay, he to come back online. What I was trying to make effort to find out. All right, so Uncle Steve, welcome back. Sorry, you were taking off. I do not know what happened. But what I was trying to find out is in situations where finding work, finding job is a bit difficult, what should be my focus? Finding job, regardless of whether I'm satisfied in finding the job, satisfied in the kind of job I do, or finding the right kind of job where I can make my influence heard and felt and seen.
Very, very important here. Again, one of the dividends about work is truthfully the first thing that if job provide the dividends of good job is that it provides for you. Again, it may put us to a place where people could find that food is the main reason why people work, but that's more than that. However, there is no place where you get to eat. It is the divination of who you are. And so to come up with just one answer to that, that puts us into a place that, okay, you can go and just, like people who are in ministry, to just say, okay, do ministry and then let your family starve, or do some work and then, no. The dividends of a good work should produce to you both shelter, security, and family life that it's there. But where the food, the salary, it is what you are, the reason why you are keeping the job, then probably you will have a problem to be able to live a fulfilled life. You'll be a nuisance to your call and the people that you work around with. So again, in the Nigerian condition, how do you even deal with that? Where people could get a job and not, could get the job, but they are not fulfilled in terms of that it's not their fitting. Now, I want to say this very, very well, that there is no place where you are given a work that will not need your services. It might be that positionally, it is not your place, your placing, but influentially, it will be your place. Because you could probably, again, and there is no black and white to that, but let me say, you take me to Accountant General office, I probably would do less to that, but I definitely know that there are some description in the Accountant General office that I can fish out my values. And so I might be falling short of being an accountant, which is literally going to be a failure in that position. But equally, for me to hang on to that position like that, it's my position, it will be a disaster for the fame, or for the organization itself. So again, it comes back to you coming back to understanding that you have a placing, however, you are already working. Because this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the place that you are already in a job. and how do you lead in that job, even when you are not the leader? How do you influence people in that job, even when you are not the positional person? So, of course, black and white before the job probably could be there, but while you are in the job, you may probably have a fitting. Some people leave jobs, and truthfully, they leave job to no jobs. Again, convictions of people and a lot of things play a whole role about that. I don't know if I really scratched your question, but it's a little bit very difficult in putting it through.
Thank you so much. I think you've addressed the issues, the question that I have. I think you've made the point very clear. So thank you so much. And I would appreciate if there are other persons out there who have questions for Uncle Steve, please feel free in the comment section to type in, whether on Facebook or YouTube, and I'll pass the questions across to him. But thank you for the response that you've given to this question.
All right, so I go to the next one. And then the next in my slide say that we all know that there is positional leadership, which I have explained, and then the influential role of leadership, which I have talked about. But there is another aspect of it. I said this, your employment is less than your work. Your employment is just a space to influence people, organization, and philosophy. I really wish I was sharing this. But your employment is more than it's your employment that you are having. Your place that you are being employed is less than your work. So, you know, it is literal that in our culture, human culture, people always attach your place of work to how they respect you. So, but I want you to know that your employment is less than your work. Now, let's go to the flip side of it. Your leadership position is less than your influence. That is just, I just flipped it. That is just what I did. That your employment is less than your work. Your essence in the place that you are is to influence, number one, people, number two, the organization, and number three, the philosophy of that organization and the philosophy of people. And if you so read and live it well, you influence people in a very huge manner, so much more that you can even imagine. So most times, people change jobs from one job to the other in terms of attaching importance to the employment and forgetting the aspect of their work and their role. Your role is what sets you apart. Your ability, who you are, it is literally more than what the organization is offering. In fact, it is telling the organization, so like, Stephen, come and help me here. I need your help. That is what organizations do when they give you employment. We need your help. We need your help. Come and rescue us. Or humanity needs your help. Come and rescue us. And interview is to know how you can make better people's life, organization life, changing philosophy and culture of people. That is what leadership is about as well. So if you look at yourself as a place where the place gives you who you are, then literally it reduces your influence to making you a waiter. You become a waiter in the place of employment. You become a waiter in the place of where you've been called. So literally, you are at the mercies of each other. Your boss is there, you are trembling. If you don't do it right, you are trembling. And this is the only definition that makes you someone who is learning in the job. This is the only definition that allows you to make mistakes, correct them, get better, and works with people. Your emotional intelligence is well at play because it's about you developing people, organizations, changing philosophy, enhancing philosophy, correlating and coherently working towards a better life and a better humanity. That is really very key. So your work, it's about how you influence the place of work that you are in. So that's also why we call it a lunchtime conversation. Uncle Shedrack, you may like to say something about that before we go to the next slide.
All right. So again, I'm intrigued. You see me constantly quoting you and placing on the screen, and basically because I think that people's mentality ought to have some change. When you say your leadership position is less than your influence, I agree. Again, I agree because I had a conversation yesterday with a group of friends, and they were commenting basically about the events within the country. And someone pointed out that things have gone so bad because of those in leadership position. And my response was no. Things have gone so bad because everyone in the society does not think that he or she has the ability or capability to influence things going in a particular direction. So if, say for example, I beat traffic lights, if I stole people things, it just simply told me that when I get into a leadership office or leadership position, I would carry out those same traits, those same qualities in those offices. But if I do things right, even before occupying a leadership office or position, it means that when I occupy a leadership position or office, I'm going to do things right, just like I've always done them. Now, so this was the discussion I had. Well, a number of us didn't agree with that. But hearing you speak that my leadership position is less than my influence, I have no choice but to bow down and to surrender to that line of thought. Again, I wish that those listening out there will listen to every point, will ask questions where it is necessary, will make comments where necessary so we can continue to interact
Let's even connect that. Let's even connect that to Nigeria.
Okay.
Let me tell you this. One of our challenges was that we were always thinking that the government gives you employment and then you do nothing because it's an expectation that there is money flowing from the oil. Now, Uncle Shedrack, you know it very, very well that Buhari it's not even close to being an atom in our problems. Our problem, it's a systemic problem. People who occupy smaller and bigger positions and they are doing nothing of responsibility in those positions. They are thinking an angel needs to drop into their bathrooms and clean the bathrooms and keep the book straight. All of those things, they are literally our conversations in the in-house. What we are requiring Buhari to do, it's literally what, even if he makes those changes, our own brain, our brain of functioning brain, it's not of work, it's of employment. It's about the security. It's like a marriage without divorce. That is the mentality we are working with. And so that does not create the change that we can have in our community. Now, let's be very honest. How that really translates to how people, I don't know how to say it without passion, but let me say this, that there is a way an employer would employ you and be scared that he doesn't make mistakes because of the way you carry the employment with every seriousness, that even if he is about to make wrong decisions, he knows that there are some people that they have pledged their life into that commitment, and it makes it difficult for that. Do you know what? We are truly in a situation where even our leadership feel we don't care about what we are keeping as a country, so they can make just every decisions around it. But if every Nigerian take with seriousness what we are doing, even leadership smells more danger than the idea of protest. Now, Again, that is literally what leadership in our little corner, our workspace, our businesses, it's all about. Now, again, this is a long conversation, and I know it's going to strike out a lot of conversation, controversies over there. But the owners of Nigeria are the owners in the workspace. We have so much belief and always thought that our political class is are the leaders. They are the positional leaders, but we in the workspace are the influential leaders. We influence the psyche and the control of people. So that takes me to my next slide. I'm so ashamed that I'm not able to share.
Okay, you want to see?
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir.
Just before, so what do we do? What do we do to change this mentality? What do we do to I don't know whether regenerate is the right word, to reorchestrate our mentality so that we begin to see and understand that we own our own spaces. We own our own lives first and foremost. We own, and when I say we own, I'm not saying we determine when we are born and when we die. I just know that we ought to have full charge and control of how we live. How do we change the mentality? All right, to ensure that everyone, particularly in Nigeria, begins to see, begins to know, begins to understand that what little thing I do, wherever I do, will have a ripple effect in the entire nation. What do you advocate?
Well, it's gonna be a long time, but the first instance, it's literally for us to know that there could be change even within ourselves. That it starts with our understanding that, and in fact, that it's even the reason some of the points that I have down there. I'll talk a little bit about that, but just looking in a very broader sense of it. Of course, the family unit plays a huge role. The community that we are living in plays a huge role, and again, you could have a law that has to do with the educational system of our country, that it's a little bit undemocratic. And when we say undemocratic learning, literally means that we are more of about giving the information. There's no interaction between the students and the consequences, the benefits of life that has to do with common science, human science, that has to do that our curriculum truthfully needs to change. I have the advantage of knowing that our curriculum from primary level to secondary school level, it's a disconnect to the existing country that we are in. And it's in fact even disconnect to a lot. Not that all of it, but a lot of it that has to do with human science, social science, a lot of it's not connecting. There's no coherence in our curriculum system. And so moving forward, some of us would recommend that, but equally that we can see ourselves in our family units, that we are able to do that. But of course, there are also organized formal way to do them, like mentorship and mentorship, helping and coaching in the workspace can help induce some of these cultural changes and traditions that are there. So my next slide say that my next slide say that your pay is a return of your services as perceived or measured by your company or organization as or your clients, or to the clients that they offer help to. Now let me talk about that. Your pay is a return on your services as perceived by the organization or by the companies or by the clients that you see that. So what we received rather does not necessarily translate that is what we are worth. There are many things about what we do that literally does not translate our worth. So let me mention about pay, because again, I'm laying a foundation to the points I'm going to talk about. Number one, that your pay is only a return. It's an appreciation of what the services you are offering, but it's never a definition of your worth. Anytime you define your worth with money, you've just lost the worth. Anytime you define your worth with what you receive at the place of your pay, your work, you just reduce your worth to money. Now, again, we can debate it. There are places of work that their pay does not give you sustainability. Yes, we need to find a way out of this. However, no matter big, large, or small your pay is, it does not define your worth. What you receive, it is determined upon 3 to 4 things. Number one, the economic condition of the organization and the economic condition of the country determines how much you own, or you get as salary, or take home, you may call it, whatever that you may want to call it, monthly or 2 weeks after. And then the second thing, the economic condition of your workplace could determine that. So if you hear the government say HATIS 4 step 1 step, all of those things, they are literally trying to regulate their expense. It is not to define your worth. Equally with organizations that you work with, your organization does not give that salary. You could even see it that you are so well in the idea, you are so vast than many other people in UN, WHO, and whatever, and they are receiving way more than you. And that tends to make you feel like a little person. No. What will make you and should make you feel a little person? It is your work, your output. How it's your output, not literally just the work that is there. Your needs can literally affect the way you think of costs, and your demands, your daily demands and monthly demands and bills can literally contribute to how you feel about your worth and all of those. But if you keep the main thing, you will need to know that there are many of us that are teachers, and we teach in secondary school, elementary schools, and all of those, but we don't feel less inferior to the guy in Aso Rock, or the guy in WHO, or the guy in UNICEF. No, you have a full, complete right to enjoy the advantage of being human that contributes for human growth, than the idea of you feeling less of you. So what you receive, doing that. The next thing, policies and government policies can affect the way you get paid. So again, like now we are still talking in Nigeria, the common wage, or rather, what do they call it now? The minimum wage should be 30,000, and then some other crazy stuff going on there. That is true. Those are policies. You should know that it's also about policy. Unfortunately, again, there are policies that are so big that some people, the policy tells you how small you receive, but it doesn't tell you how large you should receive. So that is the idea there. The idea is that there is nothing that is as worthy as you are in the place of your work. So you shouldn't attach your salary to your worth. Your salary, the quest to get a pay rise or raise, should be that of the needs that you have that is stopping you to be who you are, than the idea of that it defines your worth. Uncle Shedran, you may like to talk about that.
Again, like I said, you are just throwing the bullets in, And sometimes I have to sit back and suck in a number of the thoughts that you're sharing with us right now. So my worth should be determined by my work, not by how much I am paid. That is what you're saying, if I get you right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, by essence, you're saying if I find job satisfaction, if I find worthiness as being a man who works in a petrol station, well, we call it petrol here, some places say gas. So in a gas station or a petrol station, I should care less, in quotes, about who sits in Aso Rock. I should bother less about who sits as a manager anywhere else. As long as I am providing worth and giving value, then I should be contented with that. That is my guess, is that that is what you are trying to tell us this afternoon. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm trying to say not even the idea of contentment, because there could be an idea of aspiration and growth. But I'm even trying to say that whether with 5 million or 1 million, truth be told, whether with 5 million or 1 million, it doesn't define who you are. The lack of satisfaction, simply because of the lack of satisfaction of who you are, simply because of how much you earn, it's a big problem. You will not function. It's a psychological problem. You need to take it out, because it stops you from functioning who you are. Now, there is a point that I have, and maybe I can just talk about that point. The point is that the way you are able to walk where you are earns you a position to be where you are not, higher than you are. And that is the point. So if you get it twisted, that it's about the salary without the work, or about your monthly benefits without the work, you don't do that. Let me also talk about business, because we may have some people doing business here. If there at any time you are getting more profit than the value you are offering, I want you to know that completely there are times that will come. All you need to just give time. You will be no more in the market. You will be no more in the market completely, because the sustainability of a company, or of a value service or giving company, would only come, the sustainability would only come by the ethics of the work that is being preserved over there, the values of the value, not the benefits and the product that they get, or the benefits and the or whatever the thing is that they get that will keep them going. It is the virtue, the culture of good work, and the culture of serving their clients in a more fulfilling manner that keeps them. It is not how much of a profit that they are making that will literally will keep them, because profit without the work and the essence stays, at least the best it can go is 10 years. But actually in Nigeria, we heard that it's 3 years. So you definitely would crumble without those. And that is why our government crumbled. Our government crumbled not simply because of our government alone, but the workforce in the inside. It is literally rotten and eroded. Not to say there are no good people inside, no. But there are so much more that are not working because of that. So they always attach it to salary and a lot of stuff. And then what that does is stop us to being who we need to be.
That's serious. So again, I know of it. I'm sure we all know of companies that came out, provided services, gave value, or well, but made more profit than value, and over a matter of time, they've
Yeah.
just under the drain. Some of these, just many years ago, we used to have a cable network. I don't want to call names here, but I know of 2, 3 Nigerian cable networks that have vanished because the profit they were making was much more than the value that they are getting, that they were providing. So I now understand that it was the value that people were pursuing, not the
Yes.
not the cost that they
Yeah.
were charging. Of course, they made their profits and they vanished out, but I don't know if the owners are still enjoying the what I may call loot. But you've just
Yeah.
made that point clear for me, and I do hope that everyone out there also grabs the point. Where I have a question is, you've tied this down to governance. You've tied it down to governance.
Yeah.
Um, you are stating that so if the government, for example, or if a regime, for example, does not provide proper value over time, it will lose favor with the people and will be taken out. Is that did I get you right?
I am not sure I understand your question now.
Okay, so my question is, you have said if you are not providing value, it's just a matter of time, you will be phased out.
Yes.
Okay, so and you tied that to governance, and I'm asking, in a situation where a regime does not provide value to the people, are you stating that no sooner than later they will either be voted out of office, or that regime will be cut short along the line? If that
Oh,
is what you're saying, I want to be clear.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, of course, it would be true if they are there. But you know, in Nigeria, where we belong, is literally more about tenure. So whether you did well or not, you're waiting for your tenure to be out. It's so much more like you can actually predict what will happen in 2023 for those who are on the first tenure. But of course, there are such that could happen. But let me tell you the ripple effect of what I just said on that in the governance in itself, not leadership, on the idea. Have you ever thought what is the work of road safety in Nigeria? And then what is the work of VIO? Not in paper, but on a literal practical sense. A VIO man checks your paper. This person checks your paper. All of them check your paper. Nobody cares about how many speed, how many kilometers you run per hour. Nobody cares how much. Now, you have Ministry of Works, and then you have FEMA. And all of them are practically somehow the same situation. Do you know what happens when it is more about just doubling and redoubling ministries upon ministries upon ministries? Is importance of the work, sorry, of lack of giving value. So let me tell you what it means, Uncle Shedra. I have 150,000 people under construction, and I've already have them, and I have policies guiding them, and those policies are protecting them. And then there is more need around road constructions and maintenance. So much more, you are trying to know why is it that you have more potholes, no parking lots, many issues on the country. And then the next thing you come in is like, I need to do urgent road construction company ministry under this one. And then you have new sets of employment. That is the idea. You cannot drive these ones away. Your head, your hands are tied. You create more other problems, which people, this one, they will not come. There is no, it's just a lot. And it's same with our lives. Have you ever seen somebody tells you he stopped a particular habit, but he is into another habit that is fostering this habit? It's a substitutionary habit. It is the same role playing that is going on.
That's serious. That's quite serious. Especially now you start making an interplay between our lives as individuals and the lives of other persons, well, our work life. So
Yeah.
what I'm getting from you is that my life is my work life and what I may consider uh, my life are both hinged and tied together.
Yep.
Okay, so such that what value I provide for myself is most likely the value I will provide for others when I interact with them.
Yeah. I like I like what Wesley Benjamin put it. He said
Okay.
it. He said political leadership can only be held accountable by influential leadership that is fully aware of the dynamics of good leadership. That is
Yeah.
true, Benjamin. I thought that it's really like the way he worded it here. It is very, very obvious that probably he knows it better than us here. but that that is really like the point that it's there. Let's quickly go to the next thing, which is about us. There are three roles. Number one, like I said, you, the organization, others in the organization, and the organization itself. So we'll talk about you. I'm not sure we'll have all the time to get to know because of 1 hour, and unfortunately, there's a little bit of a schedule outside 2 o'clock for me. But let me talk about the idea of you, me, as in my workplace. And they are all familiar points, by the way, and they are just points to connect to the all foundations that I've already built. So the first thing, talking about you, is that knowing yourself and your giftings and the position where you are working. Knowing yourself, your giftings and abilities. It is so key. Some of us, we are orphans in our workplace. And what created, in fact, workplaces become like an orphanage of gifting and abilities, where you find people just thinking about the positions, excuse me, they're talking about the oppositions more as the abilities and the gifts of those individuals. Now, one of the things to know about this is to literally understand who God made you to be. If you are a believer in God, and if you are in a believer of whatever sort that you are, that you should know you are useful. And then you seek to literally find how useful that you are in the place that you are being serving as a worker, whether a security man or whatever, whoever you are in your place of that. So that self-knowledge gives you the idea of how you can play a very great leadership, influential role in the leadership skills or leadership space that you have. Now, when we say that, it is always more like a pop psychology. Some people bring it there. But you never work well if you do not know what you are blessed with in your life, in the place that you are working. You never work well. Like any job, and I will talk about job description, but any job description given to you and you don't see yourself in it, you no talents, you can't see all of those. And that is why I was mentioning that if you can put me in a place of accountant general, I literally know I will fail that company, but in terms of figures and facts, right? But in terms of values, in terms of who I am, Stephen, it is, you would find out that I will influence people there in the capacity of my gifting. And literally, the only reason why we can carve out this is because there are some people that are working in places that literally they don't find fitting positionally, but you can find fitting influentially in that system. And that is where it, again, when we come to about, we can talk about connecting with people, with your co-workers around there today because of time. But if you come back to the point that where you are connected literally in the idea of how you are able to know yourself, your gifting, your ability, this is what you are doing. It gives you a hand in influencing people. You see, when you find jealousy in places of work, bitterness and anger, mischief, and a lot of stuff, a lot of it always have to come when people are conscious of others instead of coming down to know who they are and how they need to function in the place of work they found themselves. So you don't struggle a lot when you know who you are. What you struggle more is how to develop yourself in line of who you are. Then that is your struggle in self-development in the job. But most times, you don't even know your abilities. You don't even know what you can do. You are just a performer in the place of work. And a performer literally does not act from the innate gifts that they have been given, the internal gifting that they have, the intuition that would have made them excellent from their place of work. You don't get that. And those are key gifting that only specially given to everyone. Every one of us have some kind of intuition wired in exact way with our abilities and our gifting. And when you do not know who you are, your giftings and abilities, your intuition, your intuitional gifting that God gave you to be excellent in that place, it is not invoked into practice. Now, all of us can tick all the boxes, but not all of us can create the needed experience for clients, for the organization, and for excellence in the places of work if your intuition it's not connected to that very job. And that is a key issue there. Maybe Uncle Shedra, you may like to say something about that.
Again, so I do understand that first you must understand and know who you are. And if you understand and know who you are, then you struggle less in life. And again, I'm pleased by the fact that you've mentioned that our only struggle should be how to improve ourselves, improve our skills, improve our abilities. All right? Again, I'm thrilled by the fact that you constantly use yourself as an example if you are placed in the Accountant General's office. In terms of figures, you may make certain errors, but in terms of rendering influence, you are certain you can influence the environment over there. So let me ask a question. And I read this on one of the leadership groups that I belong to on Facebook. And the question was, which would you rather have? Which would you rather have? A good job with a bad boss, or a bad boss, or a good boss with a bad job? Which would you rather have? I made my answer. But from what you are saying now, I would want you to probably just double it. So assuming I am posted into an office, I become the boss there. Should people run away from me if I do not exhibit good leadership skills, even though the job seems to be good and paying off? Or should they stick around with me in spite of the fact that I'm not exhibiting leadership qualities?
Well, this is a difficult question because nobody chooses his boss, right? No, nobody chooses his boss. And truthfully, that is true. But in terms of preference, right? You would like to say you like a good job, a good boss, but equally you like a good work. The idea there is that you are not working to say that you're going to be a failure. But the point there is the idea of working for excellence, where you find the two of these syncing themselves, you find an excellent workplace. You will not be working trying to walk above the waters. But now, again, the idea of bad boss and the idea of good job is again the idea of values and principles of those organizations and how you are able to literally know which plays more important role to them. Now, so a straight answer will not really service this, but I will say this: almost every job, not every job that a bad boss can matter so much, and not every bad job a good boss can matter so much, and that is why answer yes. That is why a straight answer may not be able to solve that, because if you have some jobs that literally they are less supervisory jobs, whether you have a bad boss, you will just go. But there are some jobs that literally will need a very intense connection to the leadership, which literally can determine how that could go. So not a straight answer can go there, but I would say you would like both so that excellence can be gotten in that.
So thank you so much, Uncle Steve, and thank you for all that you've poured out this afternoon. I know that you still have so much. I'm
Yeah,
hearing you say I'm hearing you say you have an appointment for anytime beyond 2.
exactly, exactly.
So I'm wondering how many more minutes can you stay on the platform?
Um, I, I can say I can give one point and then we kind of round it up. Still have
Okay.
some few ones, but let me if we can just talk the last point for today. Any other arrangement we can do it for some other time.
Okay, so thank you. Let me just say this. Can I begin to book your time for next week so that you continue with this exercise and round up where you want to round up? Because I know that we're a bit, you still have so much you want to pour out. Okay, and I see that a number of people are following and pouring out also their thoughts. So I'm just wondering, can I just tie your hands now and book you in advance for next Wednesday so that you don't run away?
So we can talk about that off the line, okay? But let me go to the
Oh,
last point.
all right.
Let's talk to the last point. And the last point there, sir, it's that form your habits in line of who you are and what you are being gifted by the creator God that made you. Now, there could be a habits that are literally good habits, but you are literally not to have. I mean, and I'm a man of faith, a person of faith. I can't say that you should lack anything good in your life, but we are humans. There are things that we don't have all of them. But you need to know what are the top 5 values that when you form a habit around them makes you a better person in your workspace. It is a very great springboard to who you become in the future. Seriously. So form your habits in line with your gifting and abilities from the values of those gifting and abilities that you have been created and who you are in God that has made you, or wherever you have thought you came from. Those giftings and abilities that are there form habits that literally keeps them sustained and keeps them growing. We can talk more about that, but that is one thing. You see that sometimes we leave a value of keeping tradition. And when I say tradition, no wrong tradition, but tradition of some kind of communities, but then we have a job that we are keeping. Literally, it's a play, it's a joke. It's a joke. What is required of me if I am a nerd under the idea of I am an IT person? What is required of me if I'm an accountant and or I am whatever that I am, a gatekeeper in my place of work? What is, you know that there's always issue of time, there's always issue of consciousness of who is around and whatever. If you're a security person, what are those values that makes your role play better? Those are values that you develop daily, monthly, and yearly. Then your influence is felt. Thank you, sir.
So grateful to you, Uncle Steve. Thank you for your time and thank you for your parting shot. I would live with the understanding that I would form my habits in line with who I am and in line with how my creator has created me. Now, again, so this is clear that uh, I cannot be someone else. I cannot imitate somebody and be better than the person in what he or she does or in how he or she behaves. I can only be um, my own my own self. So um, I'm agree with all that you have said today, and I'm thankful to you for your time, for your energy, for your strength, and for the wisdom that you have poured out. And we'll challenge everyone who has listened to hold on to these words and to take time to practice them for a better society, for a better organization, for a better better life. Thank you so much, Uncle Steve. And for everyone out there, please remember that leadership is influence. And Uncle Steve has taken time to break down what influence is and how we, in our little corners, our little workplaces, in our homes, in our playground, can actually influence our environment. Stay blessed and remain cool out there and practice out everything that you've learned from every one of us. I would ensure that I talk to Uncle Steve to try to get him back next week. So thank you so much. I see my friend Benjamin Wesley is already booking and has booked you on our behalf. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the privilege. I appreciate this.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Dawon, for being online with us. Thank you, Benjamin Wesley. Thank you, Sam.
Tell Dawon that I was watching her video on YouTube, and I'm impressed by her perspective and her work. And just tell her I'm proud of her. Okay.
I'm sure she's listening to you. So, and she must have heard what you've just said. So, thank you so much. Again, so that one you can see that you have more fans than you ever anticipated. We're all on the queue as your fans. So thank you so much, everyone, and do have a good day and do well at what you have been called to do. See you next week at 1 p.m. Bye bye.